Hi guys, Scott here from Outlaw Garage. We are back with Greg and we have the mythical Porsche 356 EV on the channel. We're going eco-friendly? Yeah. Is that what we're doing? And we're going EV.
Eco-vehicle, yeah.
This is unbelievable. So there's a bit of a great story with this. I think I might have actually worked for a period of time in the plant that this was first built. So there's a bit of a connection here and I think this is brilliant. This is the Porsche 356 EV.
That's it. There isn't another one. It's just this one. And it started off as a petrol engine car in 1953, a 1500cc. From Porsche. It was delivered in Azura Blue on the 14th of Jan in 53, but in 57 it was sitting in a used car lot in Pennsylvania. General Electric R&D, head of R&D, Hal Olson, he purchased the car with a contract from the American Postal Service to show what they could do at the time, and they took out the 1500 engine and the gas tank and put an electric motor, 14 6-volt batteries in it, and wired it all up to drive just as an electric vehicle and no petrol power at all. Yeah, and it was finished in 58, I believe, and they had it on the road and testing it and using it to show the execs of the American Postal Service of what they did at the time. From there, it ended up just being a single prototype that Hal ended up driving on a daily basis and kept a log of the vehicle, and it would do it did about 50 miles per hour and a range of about 45 to 50 miles. Yeah, it still runs its original 4-speed gearbox, but you could pretty much, I'd imagine, put it in 4th or 2nd or whatever you wanted to sit it in and just drive it. You didn't have to change gears, but it was still connected. So
yeah, okay, so that must have been interesting how they kind of connected up. But the torque
you just need to leave it in 4th and you just drive it as an electric car, and you select reverse by not the gear shift. You would actually use the ignition to change the polarity.
We will take a look at that.
Yeah, and then you go forward and backwards. So realistically, it probably went in reverse at 50 miles an hour as well. So
because looking at it,
a bit hairy, yeah.
Yeah, looking at it there, it looks like a standard 356 that needs a restoration. It is all marked up because you've used this car for panel prep and it's been 3D scanned and all kinds of stuff.
We've done a lot of reverse engineering off this body shell so that when it's going through the restoration, it'll be literally perfect. Every position and shape, every contour. We're building a body buck for it to make sure that everything's 100%, and which will also be used on other restorations when we're finished. It's not just for this car. Dimensions and things that we've worked to are within a 0.5 millimetre, so we're pretty happy with that. Yeah, so this jig pretty much puts all the panels and the suspension and everything in the correct spot, as well as a bunch of other jigs and attachments that put guards and roofs and sills and floor pans and things in their right spot as well.
So I think we can see that. There's some jigs there. And then around the side here as well. Look at that, sat there. So here we go, here's the forward, off, reverse. So depending on what key position you got it in and what polarity it was in, that's how you changed if you're going forwards or backwards rather than the shifter.
But what you've got there is a converted speedo, and they've made an amperage gauge, and it tells you what power you got in your batteries while you're driving. And
that is unbelievable, and I think we're just leaning in, so I'm hoping people can see that. But they've done a brilliant job kind of pulling that together. That's a lovely touch when you do all the electrics, but then when you sat inside, amazing touch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So colour-wise, it's changed over the years. Originally from factory,
Azura Blue, and then it was painted palm green very early in its life. And quite possibly a dealer did that because it had a grey interior, and you could get Azura Blue with a grey interior or the palm green. So, and it was quite a long time to wait to get cars in these years. It's still quite early.
Yeah.
So that could have been the reason for that. And then later on it was a silver for a short time, I think, and then painted this glorious yellow. But it will go back to the original Azura blue when it's finished at restoration.
I think just the history of the car is great. And you can kind of pick up here that, let's see if we're in focus there, but we've got the blue here. We do have the green up here as well. We can see a little bit of the silver, and then the kind of yellowy off-white colour there. I think that might pick up a little bit better there with the light, but it's nice to what a history of a car.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, and especially those guys in the GE factory when they were building it and
there would have been a bit of
together.
Excitement about it. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, they had a Porsche in their hands, and they were they were converting to electric car. These guys were, they're shaping the future from even way back then.
Yeah, and to be a fly on the wall when they'd done it, and just the excitement and perhaps the apprentices and people working on it. It's a bit of a throwback in time, isn't it? And just what a moment in history.
You could almost see it just maybe getting around the car park or something. I mean, you said you worked there and they had their own streets. It was that.
It's a big plant.
It's a big plant. So they could have been just moving it around the plant. But then it went out on the streets and driven on pretty much on a daily basis up to 75, which was when the last registration was.
And then finding its way here to Australia.
Yeah, so it was on eBay early 2000s, and a good friend of mine, Andy, in Canberra, acquired the car because he always knew that it had, like, there's a myth about this car that was around. He did some research and through the channels of 356, and he did get a hold of Hal Olson, who was the guy that did. He was the head of R&D and did all the work on the car and drove it. He said, it does exist. This is the story about it. This is what we used to do. This is what I used to do to keep it on the road. Basically, he got the details of where the car was. Soon later, he purchased the car and brought it into the country. So that's how it made it to Australia. And a number of years go by with this car sitting in his shed, and then moves into the form of we needed it to do these jigs and things, and basically became part of our program. And now it's going to be one of our cars that we fully restore and get back on the road.
Yeah, because you're right using the term myth. It is kind of a mythical beast.
Yeah, well, no, it was only just talked about. There was never a lot of magazine articles written about it or anything. It really wasn't. It was just kept pretty quiet, and even when it arrived in Australia, it was kept pretty quiet for a number of years.
Yeah.
So the guys on the 356 registry, people like that would know about it if you search through the registry and you see conversations about the car. But other than that, it hasn't been around at events for years, and we're just looking forward to get it back on the road and turning up at Porsche events and classic car events and maybe even EV events as well. They're already starting doing EV cars and coffee.
Yeah, and you're plodding with this at a
right.
Tesla meet. That's a way to go.
So one of the problems they've had with the car was the weight with the batteries. It had 14 6-volt batteries in it, and they were spread out around the car to keep the weight even. But they did have to put a coilover style front shocker on the fronts, and on the rears it had a little adapter style plate on the rear end and coil springs on each side that helped keep the car stable and I suppose off its rebounds as well, because it would have been very heavy. And even the electric motor itself is quite heavy, like heavier than a standard 356 engine. So those little modifications are just part of, they'll all go back into it, of course, they're all there and they'll all go back into it.
I guess one of the benefits that you'll have, though, you'll be able to use the existing motor. There's no issues with that, like it doesn't need rebuilding or
no, I've actually
coil.
checked things and it'll run.
Because I guess it's just copper coiling wrapped around.
The only thing that's no good is the batteries. That's it. They're dead.
And then and there are some benefits, you know, now new technology with batteries.
Right. Yeah.
There's an opportunity there to reduce the weight, maintaining the same power, or at least get to 100 kilometres an hour. We were just talking a minute ago, you want to be safe on the road.
Yeah, we're hoping to put a safer battery in it at a weight that we believe is okay for the car, and if it can get it up to 100 kilometres an hour, which is better than what it was before, that'd be great. It could be a safer option as well, being a newer style battery. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So up front in the luggage compartment, they took out the gas tank and they put a frame in here with some batteries here, another battery down here on the opposite side to the steering box, and instead of the one normal battery in the front, they squeezed 4 batteries down in there. So yeah, I can't imagine they kept a spare wheel or anything in there, but but it got the job done. Yeah, so Hal kept a logbook of the EV for many years. Actually, it looks as though it's every drive that the car went out on. He was keeping logs of the distance and how much per kilometre, like in cents, that it would cost to charge the car and what it was costing to run, because it was all an evaluation. The whole thing was a prototype and an evaluation for what they could do. I think that's the engineering mind.
And there's a passion.
And a passion, yeah.
That's an absolute passion about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, I think, to have all that detail about the car.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's one of those cars that you think you would never see, and just is a mythical beast, and today we've got to see it. We will be back. We won't let this one slip out of our vision. We will want to see it as it kind of progresses. So there's going to be a few more videos coming from here from us and Greg. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll be back with this one very soon.